So every year, at the beginning of the year, we re-elect chair and vice chair. But before we get started, I just wanted to give a few accolades to a member that left us after a while and a couple of new members, and just highlight some of their successes. So we give big thanks to Ginny Hart. She served on the STC for 6 years. Her experience in real estate from Amtrak, her communications experience really helped us through a lot of our great initiatives over the past few years. And Ginny was actually the one who got me started in the STC. So thank you, Ginny, so much for what you did for Radnor Township, the residents, and everyone else. And we wish her well. So Jen Santoro, I did make a small introduction last meeting, but I'll do the complete one today. So Jen Santoro, PhD, she is an assistant teaching professor at Villanova University. She's been there for just over 4 years. She has a background in forestry, recently finished her PhD at the University of Vermont in forest ecology, and have previously worked as a forester cruising timber and managing GIS projects. She spent 10 years doing research with the American Chestnut Foundation, and she gets jazzed about chestnut trees. So welcome, Jen. Thanks for joining us. And another new member, Eugenia Warnock, welcome. So Eugenia comes to us from the EAC. She served on the EAC for just over a year. She is a candidate for a master's degree in environmental studies focused in urban forestry and storm and wastewater management, which is very applicable in this township. You are a graduate teaching assistant at University of Pennsylvania, and certified tree tender, has a certification for park management that was in Central Park, New York. Great project there. And many other things to mention that are great applicable experiences that I'm sure we will leverage as much as possible throughout your tenure here. So welcome, everyone. Appreciate it. So first order of business is the election of chairman of the Shade Tree Commission. So I've been chairing the Shade Tree Commission. This will be my 3rd year, and this will be my 5th year in total as a member. I do appreciate everyone and all of our skills that come together for what we do and all of the programs that we've been able to grow and nurture throughout the year. So I do express interest in being reelected as chair, but I will
nominate Zach.
Great, thank you. Do we have a second? All in favor? All right, thank you so much, everyone. Looking forward to leading the charge one year more. Okay, next, Vice Chairman of the Shade Tree Commission. So James Gibbons, this will be coming up his 2nd year as Vice Chairman, if we do accept, but I nominate James Gibbons to be Vice Chair. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye, thank you. Congratulations. All right, now I ask everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. All right. Thanks, everyone, for going through the start to our meeting. So next item on the agenda is our meeting minutes from our prior meeting, which was November 29th. We did cancel our December meeting. So does anyone have any questions or comments from our November 29th meeting?
For item 6, I was recusing myself on that one, so if you just take me off that. Thank you.
Thanks, James. Anyone else? All right, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you. Okay, so next we have our consent agenda, which includes quite a few properties. So the way the consent works is we review these ahead of time. They are typically properties that don't require much review. But those that did review these ahead of time, do you want to give us a quick summary of those addresses?
Sure. So the Aberdeen properties are totally in compliance with what we need, including the placement of street trees, which they're required to do as new development. The others, those were the only properties where any trees were being removed. Shade tree protection was totally adequate for Woodland Ivy Lane. Darby Paoli Road was a lot line change. That's all, no trees affected, no trees near the line.
Great.
So the last one is a lot line change, nothing else. Kristen and I went over all the properties and for consent, but these were the only ones that we felt comfortable putting on consent. So they're all in good shape.
And just for clarity's sake, on the printed agenda we have in front of us, the addresses on consent are specific to A through
E.
E. Right. Great. Okay. All right. So I don't have any other concerns with those that were on the consent agenda. Any other comments from commission members? Do we have any public comment? So just for the record, I will go through the addresses before we make a motion. So those that were on the consent agenda, so 236 North Aberdeen, Lot 1, 236 North Aberdeen, Lot 2, 508 Woodland Court, 8 Ivy Lane, and 739 Darby Paoli Road. Do I have a motion to approve? Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. All right, so moving into new grading permits. So once we call the addresses, just come up, introduce yourself, the project, and we will talk trees. So first address, 165 King of Prussia Road, the hotel. Do we have anyone here? Good evening. So 0 trees to be removed, 7,500 cubic yards of dirt to be removed from site.
Good evening, Chris Franklin, Brandywine Realty Trust.
Jonathan Alderson, landscape architect.
Mike Roth from Panoni Associates. Sure. So this is a project that you guys have seen before under a different applicant. Toll Brothers is looking to develop a hotel on a property, piece of a property. They are no longer pursuing that, and Brandywine Realty Trust, who's the applicant now, is currently developing the office building and the parking garage that's currently under construction. So we submitted a new grading permit application, same project, no changes other than the owner.
Understood. So it's remaining as a hotel, same exact plans and everything else. 0 trees to be removed from the, so no changes from the prior plan, and that lot has already been cleared from years ago. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct. And more specifically, where the hotel's sited, it was a parking lot.
Sure, right. And I know previously we talked through the planting schedule, looked at renderings and everything else. So I don't think there's a necessity to rehash any of that. And as far as existing trees on the lot, can you just remind us? I know that the footprint of the building is the parking lot, but you know the perimeter of the property, there's going to be some.
So this is
pathways.
part of Penn Medicine.
Sure. Yep.
Brandywine
Understood.
Realty. You can see the hotels dashed in there in red.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going where there was a parking lot. There are proposed, with the approved plan, which was back in 2018, there's 252 trees that are going in. Some have already gone in. In addition to that, with the hotel, we're putting in an additional 20 trees over what was required. So of those, there Of the 20, there are 8 shade trees and 12 flowering trees.
Thank you. And outside of the parking lot perimeter, were there any existing trees that would require tree protection? Just to,
Yeah, there were, but not in the vicinity of the hotel.
Sure.
There were, there's a large sycamore tree that was protected by the hospital MOB, and this is all reflected on this plan back from 2018.
okay, sounds good. Any other comments from commissioners?
It does say that all the dirt's being removed, right? Is that still the same?
Great. Any other questions, comments? Any public comment? I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you.
Thank you
Good
very
luck.
much. Thank you.
Okay, next address, 809 Maple Glen, detached garage, 250 cubic yards of dirt to remain on site, 0 trees to be removed. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Tony Girardi. I'm here representing Wilkinson Apex Engineering Group on behalf of Natasha and Dean Thomas, the owners at this address. So the intent of this project is to add a detached garage. There will be no changes to the existing building. And then along with that detached garage, we're just adding an extension of driveway off of the existing driveway and associated grading and stormwater management that will cover the additional impervious being done. As you can see, the layout kind of jogs around a lot of the trees. The intent there obviously was to protect all of the trees. The owners are really kind of dead set on keeping all those trees. They really want to maintain them. There's quite a few being impacted, but we don't anticipate any of them being damaged to the point of needing removal.
Great, thank you. And could you just indicate for the record the detached garage on the plans? Perfect. And then as far as the existing drive, this is a net new driveway to the garage?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, there was no driveway
Yep.
coming out this way.
Understood. So the existing trees, you're weaving the new drive around the trees. The line indicated there is the tree protection.
The line indicated there, the red lines are actually the drip lines of those trees.
Okay.
I do have, this one's just a little bit smaller, but this is our ENS plan. You can see the blue
yes.
line is the fencing.
Okay.
So that goes around all of the impacted trees.
Sure. My only concern would be where the driveway gets close to the grouping of trees and making sure root compaction and, I'm sure you'll have to dig down a bit for a new drive. So,
Yes,
Yes.
Seth, that was one of the, Kristen and I, when we looked at this property, we were concerned about the juxtaposition of not only the driveway, but surface vehicles coming in, unloading lots of weight and a lot of stuff where the stockpiling might be a very sensitive area to any of that going on. So that's why we didn't consent this, because we thought the commission as a whole had to evaluate whether this is pretty risky for the trees that we see there.
sure. And the driveway's as close to the lot line as possible per setback?
Yes.
Okay.
Two things I'll say on that. We don't anticipate any excessively large vehicles for construction. And then additionally, in kind of this area, we're actually filling a little bit. We're not cutting anywhere in there. So we don't anticipate a major impact on the roots.
The fill can arguably do just as much damage as digging and compaction, only because that fill you're going to have to compact and you're taking away,
Right.
roots like to be close to the surface of the ground to get the nutrients and oxygen they need. So my only, I guess,
Is there a description of all the trees? I can't quite see it.
what, that's a good point. Do we have the species indicated of the trees that are along the, that,
We do not have the species indicated. We have the sizes.
okay.
Do you want me to list those out for you? Or?
Yeah, it would be nice just to have that on the record. I don't think it will impact a decision tonight. Typically, we're a little bit more stringent, if trees are coming out and new trees are going in. So I would just request that, during the construction of this, did you have an arborist or someone similar come out to take a look at the site during this process?
No.
Okay. I won't say it's a requirement, but if the owners want to see those trees survive, I would, during construction, have an arborist come out and just ensure that, the fill and any excavation near trees beyond that area, won't have a detrimental impact to those trees.
Sure.
Just takes one wrong move with a excavator and you can kill a tree pretty easily. So
Yep.
that would be my suggestion. Anyone else have any comments?
Yeah, I would suggest where that grouping of, if you're looking at it on your left, yeah, closer to the garage. Right there, that grouping, the other side right there, there's 4 of them. I don't know what type they are, but one's like a 14-inch. You're going right through the drip line there. With a lot of these trees, actually, you are. But in that location, could you move the driveway over a bit to stay away from?
Yeah, we could potentially, yeah.
I can't tell if is that another tree? Doesn't look like a tree.
This is a tree.
That is a tree.
That's 2 small trees, 10-inch and 8-inch.
So depending on which ones you want to save, because most likely you're going to have some trees die in a year or 2 with all the compaction going in there, because you're going right on top of those.
Yeah, I think ultimately it was to avoid this 22 coming in,
Okay.
but we could potentially jog it and kind of jog it back.
Yeah, it might help save it.
Sure.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. I'll make a motion to approve. If you could send in updated plans with species to the township. Not a contingency officially, but as a request. And that's my motion. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. All right. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, next address, 205 Hermitage Drive, in-ground pool, 50 cubic yards of dirt to remain on site, 0 trees to be removed. No one here for that address? All right, we will skip and loop. Oh, I'm sorry. Quick on the draw. Good evening.
Hello, how are you?
Good, how are you?
My name is Michael Nealio. I am a design consultant for Anthony and Sylvan Swimming Pools. I am representing the homeowner of this address to install a pool. We're putting, as you can see from the plan in the rear of the property, a pretty small pool. It's only 288 square foot of water surface, 12 by 24. We're really just installing the pool and a 1-foot coping edge around the pool, so we're under 400 square foot of total proposed impervious, and they're not doing any pool patio, so there's most likely just going to be grass up to the edge of the pool. You can see detailed on the plan the construction entrance off of the driveway, the limited disturbance. There are trees on this property, and they are labeled, and they, on this plan, although I'm not sure if you guys have this plan, I think look at the name,
Yeah,
Matt.
I
There it
did.
is, yes. You spoke to my engineer, I think, from Nave Newell.
I did, and it was just because there was no shade tree protection shown on the plan, and she said she was going to revise that for, hopefully for
Yes, so
tonight.
they actually are on this plan. This is a revision. This is the one that went back to the township.
Great.
Or will be going back to the township
Right.
as part of their township engineer's review letter.
Right.
And this plan does show now shade tree, tree protection on all those trees. The plan shows a limited disturbance around the pool, but then there's also a dotted line on the plan that shows 25 feet from that limited disturbance. And there are only 2 trees that, actually that 25-foot off of the limited disturbance goes through. The rest are beyond that. And the closest tree to the pool project is the 12-inch, which is approximately 35 feet from the pool. The others are 50 or more from the pool itself. So we will not, obviously, we'll be driving all within the limited disturbance. We will not be going out of that area, so we're not going close to any of those trees. That's pretty much everything.
Great, thank you. And just for clarity, that brick sidewalk up front, that's being removed as part of this project?
Yes, it is. So that is actually being removed as part of the project. That's why you do see limited disturbance around that, because we will be taking that out during the process of building the pool.
Got it. And there's no trees that are up front along Hermitage Drive?
To my knowledge, all the trees that are on here are on the plan, and it does not show any trees in the front yard.
Understood. Okay. So great that you had the plans updated for tree protection. I'm not sure that I have any other questions. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve contingent upon the updated plans making their way back to the township, which it sounds like they will be. Do I have a second? Second, all in favor? Aye. All right, thank you, good luck. Okay, next address, 1 Wistar Drive, 280 cubic yards of dirt to be removed from site, 0 trees to be removed. Good evening.
Hello, Brendan Dorley from AEC, representing Villanova for this project. What Villanova intends to do on this property is remove the circular driveway that is in front of the main house. There's a main house and a carriage house, and they're going to replace it with a paver courtyard. So they're actually they're reducing the impervious on the property by about 660 square feet. And we are we're using the driveway as our access, and as much as there are trees on either side of the driveway, we're putting tree protection fence along the edges of the asphalt to protect the trees nearby. And that's what's represented in blue on the plan here. Yes, I think for about a couple of years now. I don't know that.
Should you turn your mic on, Frank? Was there for the commissioners, was there a reason why we did not have this on consent?
Yeah, we feel that anything in the nature of a university project or commercial projects, I'd rather not consent those.
Sure.
Just because I can't, none of us can read the public reaction to like an institution doing something, so.
Understood. Appreciate it. Okay. Tree protection looks good. I know Villanova always does a great job with projects, and you guys have trees in mind, always. So I have no concern there. Any other questions, comments?
I'll just note I have to recuse myself from this vote because I work for Villanova.
Thank you, Jen. Appreciate it. Any public comment? Okay. I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? All in favor? Jen reclused. Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, 805 Parks Run Lane, pool and patio. 0 trees to be removed, and it looks like we need to clarify how much dirt is being moved around. Good evening.
Hello. Let's see. Okay. So my name is Ashley Hickman. I work for E.B. Walsh and Associates, and I'm here on behalf of the owner, the Weissenbergers, at this address. And this plan is to construct a swimming pool and patio, and also to allow for a future pool house. So let's see if I can zoom in. Okay, so here's the pool surface. It's 40 by 20, 800 square feet, and then the patio around it. And then this kind of lined hatch area would be the future pool house. So all the grading is done, assuming that future pool house would be in there. As far as the dirt removal, it's approximately 410 cubic yards that will remain on site, and that'll be part of this grading downslope of the pool, just to use the excavated dirt there. As far as construction access, there's a existing gate, an existing fence, and then an existing gate down here in the corner of the property. And that is where the plan is to bring the construction vehicles up through that area, which is between 4 trees there, and then up into the construction area. Just labeled on this plan so it's a little clearer, there's a 12-inch maple, a 12 and 14-inch maple here, 12-inch maple in the corner, and then an 18-inch green beech tree. And we do have, or we are showing tree protection fence for each of those trees near the disturbance line.
So that was the issue for us on consent, Seth, because it looked really tight there for that area that's so heavily treed to be the construction entrance. I don't know how you protect. Yeah, I mean, you're going to lose trees. There's no doubt in my mind or in Kristen's, because we went to the site, and how are you going to get vehicles through there without taking some trees? It just seems impossible to me.
It does look very
Yeah.
tight, I agree. Can you speak to the size and type of equipment that will be used for construction?
So I don't anticipate extra large vehicles. We attempted not to have a construction entrance for this because the pool contractor figured they would do all the work and not be in and out of the site. So it'd be into the site and then at the end exiting the site. So yeah, I don't anticipate extra large vehicles for pool construction. There is, I went out there today, it's approximately 18 feet between the trees. There's kind of like, a tree here, a tree on the other side, then another row, 1 tree, and a second tree on that side. So it's about 18 feet.
In order to get equipment through there, though, the fence is coming down, I'm assuming, that section of fence?
Well, we have this gate, so we're hoping that the gate is going to be enough to get the vehicles through. If it's not, then the fence would be just removed temporarily.
I mean, I'd rather have an applicant say, we need to take 10 trees. The lot is treed. I mean, it's not like they're going to lose all their trees if they remove some of these, but these, in my 8 years in the Shade Tree Commission, I've never seen anything this tight where people said the trees are not going to be affected. So I just feel like I'd rather have an honest discussion about are these trees in danger and what should happen than Because I know at the end of the day, all these trees are going to be gone. And then the Shade Tree Commission is going to be like, well, they weren't going to take any trees, but, so that's, you know, I don't mean to be harsh, but I'm just saying,
That's a
we,
good conversation to have. So if we look at the right side of what we're seeing here, per the plans, I see 3 trees that could potentially be impacted if you were to favor vehicles going more towards the right than towards the property line. Let's just review those deviations. So 12-inch, 12-inch, and 14-inch. So that is technically under our clearing limit of 5 or 6 and under, 5 and under. So what my recommendation would be is clarify what size vehicles are coming in and out. And, you know, this is really up to the owner's discretion, right? If they really want to save these trees, then, you know, I would have the owners contact an arborist, have them come on site and make some recommendations on what can be done to try and best save these. Per our requirements, you do have the tree protection indicated. You know, we do like to see it at the drip line. In this case, that's going to be impossible. You would have nowhere to go. But just to, you know, consult, and after that's done, if, you know, those 3 trees do need to come down because of access, you know, there's no requirement for you to, you know, come back to shade tree because of those, but I'd rather 3 trees be potentially lost than if you were to go directly in the middle of all the trees, and then we have 6 trees that are impacted. So that would be my recommendation. And just for the record, in regards to using that gated access versus using the existing drive, can you speak a little bit to why that was chosen in that manner?
Yeah, that was more of a recommendation from the pool contractor. We've been talking to him, and they just wanted to come in down here. They thought that was the quickest and the easiest access for them.
So the proposed dwelling that's on the plans, has that been built?
Yes, that's
Okay.
built. Yep,
So it's a new house?
yep. It was a grading permit plan that was approved in 2009.
Okay,
And it
so newer
actu-
house.
Yep.
Understood.
It had the pool on the plan, but they delayed constructing that. so
Understood.
Different layout too, so.
Is there any chance of changing the construction entrance from proposed to existing drive? Is that an option?
Yeah, as far as I know, I think that would be possible. On this side of the house, it's not possible, but it would be like between the garage and the house.
Okay.
We could put a construction entrance right there, and then just come in. It's pretty flat coming back.
And that garage was built, the one that's labeled future garage?
That was built. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And seemingly there would be enough room to get equipment between the house and the garage?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty substantial width right there.
Okay.
20 feet maybe.
Sure.
So,
So I would highly recommend, you know, considering that. And again, this is just a conversation with the owners to say, hey, if you really want to save those trees down there, it does look like a beautiful, you know, part of the property.
Yeah.
There's a risk of, you know, those trees not making it. Because at the end of the day, it's hard to predict, you know, what size equipment's going to be coming in and out, right?
right, right.
So those are my thoughts. Any other questions, recommendations?
I'll just say real quick, in particular, the beech trees are going to fare worse with equipment going over them. They're really shallow rooted. It looks like a really gorgeous, clean beach from that photo. So, you know, no beach bark disease from your photo. So I think it would be worth trying to preserve that. And if you had to sacrifice the maples, that would be kind of my thoughts as a forest ecologist.
Okay.
if you do go through that, the tight spot, I'd recommend to the owners to get mats, have the pool come,
Yeah.
you're just doing the pool at this point, right?
Just the pool, yeah.
So do you know how many
And-
yards and is it staying on site?
It's staying on site, yeah.
So you only need to really get an excavator back there. You're probably gonna be pumping in from, where are they gonna be pumping in from?
For the pool.
For the pool.
Yeah,
If they're going through this spot, they probably won't get a truck in there. But if they're pumping from the road, I don't know how far that is.
hmm,
They can hopefully pump everything in,
yeah.
or I'd go through that other, from the driveway.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm
But if
not
you
sure.
do use this spot, I would recommend some mats and maybe even some wood chips around the trees,
Okay,
just to take the pressure out. And once you have the excavator and the skid steer in there, you're probably not coming out until you're done.
right,
So
Okay.
you're not gonna be doing too much, but it's gonna be the big truck that's gonna, for the gunite or whatever you're using,
mhm,
so.
okay. Yeah, I did bring like this attachment as an example. It's a Eco Track Pad. And it says, where does it say that? Its ground pressure from vehicle tires is reduced up to 40 times. So that could be something that we propose.
I'd go with the big mats.
Big mats. Okay. Right.
Go with them and then put some wood chips down
Okay.
around near those trees.
Okay.
This product might be good, but I've never
Never seen it.
seen it before.
Okay.
It doesn't look like a bigger equipment.
Yeah, it's kind of a thinner material, but
$9 pad to rent
yeah. Okay.
for a day and make a road.
Yeah.
Yep.
It'll
That
save the
sounds
trees.
easy enough. Okay. All right.
Any other comments? Any public comment? All right, I will make a motion to approve. Please take our advisements under consideration.
Absolutely.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, thank you. Good luck. Okay, next address, 215 Stratford Ave, 50 cubic yards of dirt to remain on site, 22 trees to be removed.
Good evening. I'm Michael Boker with Apex Design and Engineering Group, here for the applicant and our client to present this and the next 5 projects as well. Similar to last time, not as a lot has changed with this subdivision. The houses are in the same spot. We are still saving all the trees that were approved at the time of subdivision. The applicant has actually also saved about 14 additional trees that were scheduled to be removed, but is still doing the compensatory planting for those trees, so we're not taking away from any of the proposed landscaping. The plan you see in front of you shows the lots as they currently are designed, and along with the existing vegetation that was scheduled to be remain and the proposed landscaping around the lots as well. So we're here for 215 Stratford Ave, which is, I believe that's the Lot 14 application, and that is this lot.
Understood. So before we talk through those, just to confirm, no changes to the plan since the last time we reviewed.
Correct.
This is just a formality to approve each individual lot per land development. So before we move into the individual lots, do we have any overarching questions about the project from commission members? Can you speak a little bit to, when we were on site, there was a commitment to a tree maintenance program post-construction with Shriner, if you recall. Is that still planned and on the books?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. I think we discussed two or 3 years after construction or something. I forget.
Sounds
Okay,
right.
understood. As long as it's on the books. Okay. Specific to 215 Stratford and the overall project, do we have any public comment? We have one. Good evening. Hi, Amber.
Hi, Amber Atwood-Levy, Radnor Conservancy. The question in regard to Stratford Avenue and actually to the rest of the applicant's development is what was the approval process and why is this just a formality since most of the trees for the other properties have already been removed?
Yeah, so the removal, just in response to that comment, the removals were already approved per grading. This is now land development. So we did an on-site with the Conservancy, with us, with Steve Schreiner and an arborist, and everyone, the owner, the builder. Sorry if I forgot anyone. So at this point, per the construction process, this is just the final, I'll say, plans of the lots that are being approved. Before, you can consider it just like a rough draft for grading and trees coming out. This is more, final, ready to build. So that is the normal process.
Got it. And the commission was aware of the number of trees that were going to be removed at the time? Okay.
Absolutely.
Because there was definitely a confusion within the Conservancy about the just kind of general clear cutting that had happened on that property from that walkthrough. That was unclear. So if this is happening in grading, how is the tree protection happening for development, for land development? If the conversation on tree removal is happening in grading, how is the conversation about tree protection?
Tree protection also happens at grading as well.
Got it.
And on-site, way back, tree protection was erected, and with the construction of each lot, I know that there's tree protection remaining.
Mm-hmm.
So you can, just for the Conservancy's purpose and the public's purpose, all of the prior approved plans for this can be requested through the Township.
Mm-hmm.
You can also dig through our prior agendas if necessary. And also all of our verbal testimony to all of this is on the Radnor Township YouTube channel. So if you need any historical references to things, that can be viewed as well.
Got it. Okay. In regard to 215, which has not been cut yet, right? The trees are still there on 215?
Yeah, trees, all the trees.
All the trees are down, have been removed. Okay, thanks.
Great. Thank you. Any other public comment? Great. So I will make a motion to approve 215 Stratford Ave. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Okay. If you could run us through Lot 9, just give us facts, and we'll go from there.
Sure. So Lot 9 is located at the end of the cul-de-sac adjacent to Lot 10. The only change with Lot 9 is that we actually did slide the house a few feet more forward to get some additional separation from the existing vegetation to the rear. Otherwise, all the tree protection's in place and no other changes.
Great. Any questions? Any public comment on Lot 9? I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Next, Lot 10, 50 cubic yards of dirt to remain on site, 7 trees to be removed.
No changes with Lot 10. That's pretty much exactly what you saw at the time of subdivision. And again, all the tree protection is in place at this time.
And just one call out, I think this, for which one? I gotcha. Yep. So there was a request from homeowners when we visited on site in regards to specific buffering trees, but those lots were lots like 6, 5, and 4. That was some of the plantings that were rearranged. Is that correct? Around there?
I think that's across the street from lots 6 and possibly 5,
Okay.
6 and 8, somewhere in there. The applicant did make arrangements with the neighbor to adjust and/or provide additional plantings.
Right, okay. And all of that has remained as an agreement? Nothing has changed in that regard?
Correct.
Great. And the other tree that was of concern was the larger, I think it was a Norway spruce, of which the sewer
Yes.
was moved around a bit to accommodate that tree. Is that correct?
That's correct. And that work has been done. We did have the arborist on site at the time that was done to make sure any necessary pruning and/or preparation of the roots was done when that work was completed.
Great, okay.
Just one question.
Sure.
Is that the one top left? Lot 10?
Yeah, top, well,
Yeah. Is that another tree from a neighboring property? You see it on the property line?
yes, it is.
Is there, I don't remember the first application. Is there tree protection going around that one?
Yes, there
Okay,
is.
cool.
Yeah,
Just didn't want any grading to,
if I
get
remember,
compacted.
there was a pretty long length of fence in that corner.
There is, and there's actually a compost filter sock sediment trap in front of that, so there's even a little additional buffer between the tree and the work.
So specific to Lot 10, any other questions from commission members? Any public comment? Okay. I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. Okay. Next lot, Lot 3. Oh, I gotcha.
No changes to Lot 3. It's obviously the third lot coming in off of Eagle Road on the left as you come down the new cul-de-sac. And again, all the tree protections in place to the rear of this lot.
Great. And just for the record, Lot 3, 50 cubic yards of dirt to remain on site, 11 trees to be removed. Any other questions, comments from commission members? Any public comment? I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right, next lot, Lot 6, or Lot 2, I'm sorry.
Same as Lot 3, except this is now the second lot coming in off of Eagle Road. House is in the same position, and the tree protection's in place already.
Understood. And just for the record, 50 cubic yards of dirt to remain on site, 10 trees to be removed. I'll make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you. Next is Lot 1.
Lot 1 be the first house on the left coming in off of Eagle Road. It remains in its previously proposed location. And the applicant has actually saved at least one additional tree on this lot. And tree protection is in place on those trees that were scheduled to remain.
Great, thank you. And for the record, 50 cubic yards of dirt to remain on site, 23 trees to be removed. So I think that's one of the lots that has the most, being the entrance to the property. And just noting for the record too, when we walked on site, I know we paid special attention to the entrance and how things could be moved around and maintain as many trees as we could towards Eagle Road. So I will make any comments from commission members. Any public comment?
Laura Luker from the Radnor Conservancy, tree tender as well. I'm just curious, I don't know if there is a plan for a list of the tree material that you're going to be doing, because from what I can see here, I don't know, is there a list? So you do
Yes,
have,
previously so that's a requirement for the grading process. So
Okay.
we went through the list of species of trees coming
Okay,
out,
good.
conditions, and
so
then,
it's not monocultured and it's
Yep.
variety?
yeah, I remember.
Because these look like they're all marching down the road, and hopefully they'll be well, so there's a little bit more organicness to this layout than there is on your plan, and that there'll be a lot more variety. As we know, we don't want to do monoculture. Okay, sorry if I didn't know
No
that
worries.
from
Yeah,
grading.
we did, I think, make some changes during the planting schedule to add a variety of species to those trees that are
Yeah.
on the entrance to
I
the
mean,
street.
Here's a great piece of property where you can start to become more of a, you know, a model of good arbor placement and a good arbor choice, and not just looking like a development. So my hope would be that's what your intention will be. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the applicant one, we actually asked that, and they actually changed it, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes, I think that's correct.
Any other comments, public comment or otherwise? I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right. Are you here for the next property as well?
I think that's it.
Okay. Just taking over.
you.
All right. Thank you and good luck. And thanks again for working with us through this process.
No problem. Welcome.
Thank you. All right, next address, 104 to 110 East Lancaster Ave, so minor subdivision application. Good evening.
Good evening. Mike Rukosny from Site Engineering. I just want to point out on the agenda, it's actually 104, 110 North Wayne Avenue.
Got it. Makes sense. Thank you. We will make that adjustment.
So the applicant is just proposing to subdivide this lot into 4 properties just for tax purposes for the tenants. There's no actual development plan for this project.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So nothing is changing, just...
Nothing's changing. It's going to be... there's the jewelry store on the corner and Christopher's restaurant.
Right.
Yeah, they're just looking to clean up the lot lines for tax purposes.
Gotcha. Understood. Okay. Any concerns from anyone on the commission?
Is that the barber shop too?
Yes.
So jewelry store, barber shop, and Christopher's. Got it. Okay. Did this come through planning, Matt? No, okay. That'll be the next step. Yeah, okay. Great. I don't have any questions. Any public comment? Great. I'll make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. All right. Thank you.
And the next one as well.
Good luck with your lot lines.
Thank you.
All right, next address, 150, 168 East Lancaster.
Yes. You guys saw this for our preliminary land development. We are proposing to consolidate 150 and 168 East Lancaster Avenue. We'll be demolishing the existing building and constructing a mixed-use building with 24 dwelling units and retail space on the first floor. Go back to our demolition plan. You can see the small demolition plan. So in this plan, we'd just be removing, there's 2 small, like 2-inch oak trees that we'd be removing. And during the proposed phase, let's get back to our landscape plan. We'd be replacing those with 2 trees and then 4 trees spaced 30 feet apart along the parking spots.
I recall reviewing this plan some point last year. So I think those trees that are being removed were trees planted by this commission, and I think what we had discussed was that strip between the sidewalk and if there was any more room to add any more trees, but I think where we landed was there's not much.
Yeah, in order for this walkway to be accessible, we're at the minimum width.
Understood.
There's no trees there now. This is just trying to clean up those parking spots. There's an existing staircase right now, so it's not accessible. So this would just make, by regrading this and keeping the parking spots the way that they are, it would make it an accessible walkway.
Understood. And just to confirm, there's no green space further down Luella Ave. That's a stairwell? Is that what the black striped thing
This,
is? Yeah.
this is just a crosswalk.
Oh, crosswalk, okay.
Yep.
Um,
Our property line is this line right in the middle. So it's a fully covered lot now, and it's going to be
Yeah.
impervious coverage in proposed condition.
And that crosswalk right above that, that is the sidewalk, right, with the curved line and everything else?
Yep. So this is the landing for the sidewalk, and then the sidewalk goes up towards the building.
So the only way to get a tree in there would be to lose a parking spot, right? That would be the only way to do it.
Yes, and we went to planning, and they're have a
Sure.
variance for the parking, so I don't know if we'd be
yes.
able to lose a parking spot.
Understood, yeah. Between a rock and a hard place, I understand. Any other thoughts, comments? Okay. Any public comment? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, thank you.
.429 King of Prussia Road, Christina Peters, also Radnor Conservancy. So is that just done then? If planning says we want the parking space and not the tree, that's the end? Or is there a way to kind of get that reviewed? As that, this is a part of town that we all go to, and it is kind of charmless and stark and not super indicative of the beautiful leafy green Radnor we love. So, I'd love to see a little more verdancy. I think would be attractive to future customers and tenants of the space.
If I'm speaking for planning, which I can, it was a requirement of the applicant to have a certain number of parking spaces.
Yes, and we received a final land
I
development
mean, that's a
approval.
Radnor
Monday.
issue more than a one application issue. But there are more trees going to be on the site than there are now.
Yes, there's 2 now, and there'll be 6.
But they'll all be on Lancaster and none on that side?
Yes.
Thank you for that.
There's 2 trees on the corner, and then 4 street trees along the front of the building. This is proposed. There's only 2 on the corner that are going.
Right. But they'll be replaced in generally the same area.
Yes.
Yep. I do hear the concerns of having more trees on Luella. I do think, per the ordinance, this is the requirement. It would really be up to the applicant to make that decision. Nothing that we can necessarily enforce from our perspective. I do know, parking is a concern, and you did request a variance for parking, correct?
Yes, this was the parking count required by the township.
Right. So it's a tough decision, but as Matt mentioned, we are getting more trees than what are there today. Any other public comment, commission comment?
Yeah, one comment. Down on Luell Avenue, is that existing? Is it handicap accessible now?
This parking?
Yeah.
No, so in the existing condition, there's a staircase in this area. So in the proposed, we're just changing the grade of that parking so that it just is one continuous walkway up the side of the
So it
building.
will be after you're done.
Mhm.
And
ADA
is there any
compliant.
handicap parking? Nothing to do with trees, but any handicap parking in that area?
Not on this side due to the grade change, but there will be in the front of the building.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Okay. I will make a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So that takes us through all of the new grading permits. Unless there's someone.
The clearing permit.
Oh, yep, that's next. Don't worry. So next item on the agenda, tree removal without approval or clearing permits. That's an or, not an and. So this is a clearing permit for 701 County Line Road. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Bob Shields. I live at 808 Lawrence Lane in Radnor Township, and I'm here on behalf of St. Edmunds Home for Crippled Children. St. Edmunds purchased a one-story small house at 701 County Line Road. The purpose of the purchase was to move 4 of their adolescent children from the facility on Roberts Road and introduce them to a more residential environment at this small house over on 701 County Line Road. There will be 4 adolescents here along with a caregiver at all times, so that's who will be living here. After the house was bought, the house is an original house and it had an original septic system. It's always been on septic because there's no public sewer in this area. After St. Edmunds bought the house, Gray Brothers came out, who had been servicing the existing septic system on occasion, and determined that, first of all, it's a cesspool system, which apparently is not something that is used anymore, and that secondly, Gray Brothers apparently had been out there almost once a month for a year pumping the cesspool when there was 2 people living in the house. The bottom line is the house is going from 3 bedrooms to 4 bedrooms. Gray Brothers did a design and determined that a whole new system now had to be installed. So St. Edmunds is contracting Gray Brothers to install a whole new septic system for them. The system is being installed a little bit larger than normal because the children who are going in this house, we're building a very large bathing area for them with a big special tub that they get lifted into, and there's going to be a little bit more water usage than normal. So Gray Brothers did perk tests on the property and found that the only area that really perked well for their new system, which they would design and have approved by the county, would be up on the property a little bit behind the house to the right. And in orange are the 2 drain fields that would be constructed. And now they're going to bring the sewer line out of the house to the front of the house, and they're going to have a 1,500-gallon compartment septic tank first that will then flow into a 1,000-gallon pump tank. And from there, the sewage will be pumped along the front of the house up into the drainage fields that are behind the house to the right. That was the only area on the property that they found where they got proper percolation. That's why they had to put it up there. And this was all kind of a surprise to St. Edmunds, but they have to do whatever they have to do to make the house habitable. Radnor Town, there was a little bit of extra driveway that had to be constructed, shown in black in the front of the house. That's so that St. Edmunds van, which is kind of a large van for the kids, could come up and make a turn and get back down the driveway. A minor grading permit has been approved and confirmed by the township, so that has been done. The challenge is now just putting in the new septic system. A building permit has been given by the township, so everything was moving along pretty nicely, and then we had this little situation with the septic system.
Understood. Thank you for that overview. So I'm seeing on your clearing permit 16 trees to be removed. I do see a report from Shriner Tree Care outlining the inventory of trees. Is your intent to remove all of these trees and not replant? Can you tell me about what your plans are when it comes to trees?
Ryan Day with Shriner Tree Care. Our intent is to replant the trees. Our only concern is that this site specifically may not be conducive to handling all the needed trees to meet that calculation. And I think we're asking for leniency to see if St. Edmunds' main campus on Roberts Road could sustain the remaining trees needed to fulfill that obligation. We understand that there's a total of 26 total trees needed, 10 large canopy trees, and then 16 understory mixed, of mixed variety to fulfill the obligation of compensatory planting. So we are aware that there's just no specific plan, understanding that the site would not be conducive to managing all of those trees once that septic system's in place and not wanting to jeopardize that system in the future.
Sure, understood. I do like the idea. The alternative would be fee in lieu of, but if you have spots to put trees, we'll take it.
We would like to plant trees, because,
Sure.
as Ryan was saying, we could make that something that the kids at St. Edmunds could get involved with.
Right.
Be part of that, and it would be real positive.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. And to confirm, out of the 16 that need to be removed, are any of those in decline or a hazard tree?
Yes, there's one large oak. There's one large oak on there that is dead. I think I had labeled it as tree M. It's a red oak. It's 28 inch, and it is 100% dead.
And your tree calculation included or excluded the hazard trees?
It excluded that oak tree.
Okay. You said M?
Yes.
Okay, it's indicated dead
Yep.
on the report. I see it. Leah, do you know if John got a chance to? I guess a hazard tree report wasn't submitted, so he wouldn't have. Yeah. Okay. Any other? I have a couple of thoughts, but I want to hear from the rest of the commission as to what thoughts you guys may have. So typically, the process would be this, which is for any hazard trees in this scenario, we do need a hazard tree report. We do need a planting plan. Usually it's in, like tabular form on the plans itself. I think in this case, we would want to see, if you don't have drawings of the other property, a quick sketch of streets and building and a table of the proposed trees to go in to that property, I think would suffice for our purposes. So there are some documents that we typically need, but I do want to be sensitive to the fact that this is a unique project for the welfare of Township residents, and St. Edmunds does a great job in regards to what they do, but wanted to get some other thoughts from commission members.
Yeah, just one quick question. Would you put any trees back on that lot, the primary lot?
Absolutely. There's a small incline at the back of the house. I think once the system's in place, that space can be best utilized once the system's in place. Because obviously I don't want to, like I said, compromise that system moving forward.
I get that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that site specifically might be able to handle one, maybe two large canopy trees versus forcing them in there.
Got it.
How many other trees are going to go back on the original property? Just those two? Are the rest going to go to St. Edmunds?
No, we could probably put in, I'm going to say, 5 or 6 understory trees there. Not knowing the specific footprint of that septic system, I don't want to overcrowd the area or overcommit to that. But I would say, 5 or 6 understory plants could definitely go there, understory trees.
You could probably fit some in front too.
Exactly. Once all the specifics are oriented, yeah. Definitely.
We do have room in the front property to put some trees.
Yep.
Yeah, and you might want some, if you're gonna put some screening or something up against 476, put some up there maybe, something like that.
That would be a good idea for the noise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would be fine as well with, I know Ryan, I know Schreiner, I know St. Edmund's Home, they're going to plant the trees, and it's for good people. So I would be fine if they brought back a plan with where it's coming from, where the trees are going, if it's going to hold you up any, but.
Would a
Are you guys
Google
in a
Earth
rush to get
layout
this?
suffice for that, especially for the St. Edmunds property where they'd be spotted
Yeah, I think
into
that
the
would be fine.
property?
Mhm.
And then we can do the same thing over at 701.
Are you looking to act on this septic system as soon as possible?
If we could, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So my only pressure test of trees is tree D is a 33-inch tulip, and it is a great big tree. It looks healthy, and it looks like it's on the corner of where the septic system is proposed. I'm sure you've already went back and forth with the septic designers, but is there any way possible to try and save that tulip?
I think the concern with that poplar is once the excavation, because it's actually a narrow footprint to work within, to put that septic system in. And once the excavation takes place around that tree, being on top of that hillside, I think you're going to put that tree in a really compromised position, standing that close directly behind the house.
Understood. Is that tree is within striking distance of the house?
That tree is within about 25 to 30 feet of the house at the back. I guess that's directly off where the garage and it's right about here on the plan.
Okay. So out of the 16 trees, how many trees do you think in total are on the lot?
One more, what's that?
How many trees in total do you think are on the lot? The entire lot? Would you guess maybe like 100 trees? it
Oh,
looks like?
yeah, in
Okay.
total on the property, definitely. Yeah,
Okay.
when it pushes back past that wooded area. And then, yeah,
So you're looking at maybe just a 10% impact with replanting near that area as much as possible to regrow that canopy.
Yes.
And then adding additional canopy towards the street.
yes.
Okay. Any other comments?
Do we need to see those plans before we vote?
So I was going to propose in this case, maybe we approve with the contingency of, I want to see a hazard tree report submitted to the township, and that triggers John Hosback, our arborist, to come out and, visit the site. Maybe one of us does the same. And then submit the planting plans as you had noted. But that would be a contingency, so, we could make a motion to approve with that contingency. As long as those materials get submitted to the township, you're good within a reasonable amount of time. I think the urgency of the septic system, the organization that this is, and understanding, Schreiner and an arborist, did all they could to maneuver a system in a place that makes sense. All things considered, I think we can seek some relief for you if everyone
Yeah, one other thing,
agrees.
the clearing permit, I can't pull it up right now.
Sure.
Does it have that should be changed as well, the number of trees to be replanted, just for the record?
True, right. On the clearing permit, 16 trees to be removed, and then number of trees to be replanted is currently listed as
You
0.
have your table, so put that down there.
Correct,
and-
yep.
Yeah, so that would
Yes.
need to be updated as well. Good
Yes.
catch.
And I think we're all, after that's done, they're following the ordinance.
Right.
As they should at that point.
That can all be submitted by beginning of next week.
Okay.
Yep.
Any public comment?
Christina Peters, 429 King of Prussia Road. Given the nature of this applicant and this need, I think you're going you're doing a good thing. I would suggest to the applicant that there are some septic safe natives that can be planted instead of just straight up turf grass. It has some ecosystem benefits that will, those big trees, they provide a lot of ecosystem services, and it would be good to see something other than turf grass for pollinators, for stormwater management, for birds. So if you could look into that, it'd be terrific.
Thank you for that information.
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, so I will make a motion to approve contingent on this, which is updating the clearing permit, which adding the trees to be replaced, submitting a hazard tree report for that single red oak 28-inch, and submitting a set of plans that shows where the new trees are going in, and making sure that those plans include a table of what's coming out, what's going in, so that all the numbers match up and everything's good. Do I have a second? All right, all in favor? Aye. Thank you so much.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you very much.
Of course.
My wife and I are residents of Radnor Township since 1972, and your board is one of the reasons why Radnor Township is the great township it is.
Much appreciated. Thank you so much. And keep doing the great work that you're doing.
Thank you all. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Violation notices, none. Old business. So an update on our tree maintenance pilot plan. So as you know, we had a great success at Warren Philippone Beauconnor Parks with our maintenance and then with our planting. That went very well. Great project. We did, before the end of the year, get approval through the board for additional park maintenance of the Harford Trail. So we had planted on the Harford Trail last spring, right? Yeah. So that's been cleaned up. So devined, any of the new trees that might have had some brush around them, they've been cleaned up. So that has been completed. The willows, good night. The willows down by Darby Creek, that is in progress right now, and then also up by the garden near the mansion. And then the third area is the Radnor Trail near Radnor Chester Road, and that little dog leg of trail that's there, where if you look in there during the summertime, some of those newer trees that were planted 5-ish years ago, maybe more, are starting to get engulfed by some vines and some invasives. So that's going to be cleared out as well. No herbicides are being used. It's all mechanical, which obviously poses a challenge to making sure that these sites continue to stay healthy, and the new trees that are being planted there thrive. So we are considering, dependent upon how things come back this year, looking at alternatives to like digging out areas that have invasive vines to totally rid areas of that and replacing it with some native understory plantings. But I would say our maintenance pilot that we kicked off last year is a great success. We finally got this underway, and we are fulfilling our mission, which is awesome. So the plan is once Executive Tree Care wraps up the willows and then the Radnor Trail, we'll have John Hosback and whoever wants to come out. We'll do an inspection of the work. They did a great job when we provided feedback on Warren Philippone and Beauconnor. They came back a few times to polish things up until we were happy. So we're planning on doing the same thing here. And kind of dovetailing into that is similar to what we just did with Warren Philippone Beauconnor, is these newly cleared out areas. The plan is to plant trees there. So one great candidate that we'll talk about here in a minute for our spring planting is down in the park area of the Willows, where the creek is, planting trees there as a riparian buffer. It's also a high visibility area for all the events that are held at the Willows, and understanding that we have been planting quite a few trees at the Willows. I think it could use it, but also, this is an opportunity to keep doing what we're doing in regards to clean up, plant, clean up, plant. So that's the update on the maintenance pilot. Any questions, comments? Yay! Thank you. It's a great program. Great, great, great. Any other old business that we want to talk about? Mike?
Just an FYI, Lisa Borowski gave us a heads up about a Governor's Environmental Award, and we made application for that. It probably will be awarded sometime this spring, they tell us. But Radnor Township's in the running to get an award for the trees that we've planted over the last 3 years.
Yes, and thank you, Frank, for spearheading that, and thank you, Congressperson Borowski, for sending that over to us. I think that's a great recognition, and in looking at, I think every year there was maybe like 10 projects or jurisdictions awarded. So we have a good chance to highlight all of our great work. So thanks again, Frank. Okay, so new business. First and foremost, I do want to publicly thank Chanticleer. So they did provide us with a $15,000 donation again this year, which is fantastic. We wouldn't be able to do the work that we do without them. They're also, a great resource for information, recommendations, and of course they have beautiful gardens. And let's talk about the spring planting. So you should have, or you may not all have, Frank has, and he's going to hand out.
Yeah, we need a geriatric version of this.
I have one already, Frank.
Large print.
Thank you, though. So Frank graciously put together a project plan for the spring planting, and this is a collection of everything that we have to do, and this is really a culmination of many plantings over the past few seasons, and accolades to Frank for keeping a great list of stuff. So I don't think there's anything that has been missed on this list, which is great. So one call out, and I'll let Frank speak to the rest of this once he sits down, but for tree pickup, Frank will be on a family vacation in Europe. Very jealous. But I volunteered to do the duties of pickup, which is going with Steve and Public Works, going down and getting the trees and organizing them at the Public Works building and grouping them and getting them ready for planting pickup. So Frank, you want to run us through some of the thinking that we've been discussing?
First of all, the application is due February 12th. It's online. I've started it. And the big question with that is how many trees do we want? And then the trees come in on the 18th of April. And we'll probably, if we have a volunteer event, which I'm hoping we will, that'll be that Saturday, April 20th. And that's, again, a volunteer type event, people coming to that. So Seth and I were talking about maybe for this spring doing about 80 trees, 50 in the right-of-way, 30 in the parks. Yeah, that's 80. And make the 30 coordinated with the maintenance program that we've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
So we would find sites in the Willows along the Radnor Trail.
I don't know that there's much room.
But there was some cleanup there, wasn't there?
There was. There's a couple spots that we could probably find, but I think going back to our credo of keeping it simple and keeping it to one park. Only if, I'm sure Steve would volunteer planting 1 or 2 trees that are not in the willows, possibly, but the trail is tough for a volunteer planting because of, both spring's definitely a lot busier than the fall in regards to people on the trail, but just the coordination of the length of it. So I don't know that we would ever do like a volunteer event on the Radnor Trail for
We
a plant.
did once.
Right.
Back in 2020, we did one, and we put basically just 5 trees.
Right, a small amount, right?
A small amount.
Right. So let's think about it, but just real quick on the number of trees. So quick budget update. So we do have around $30,000 in the bank today. There is some additional funding coming from, so the Chanticleer money. Bob Tate hadn't gotten back to me yet in preparation for tonight, but I think that 15,000 is on top of the 30. I don't know, Leah, if you know. You don't, okay, all good. So to play it on the safe side, let's say we have $30,000. 80 trees is roughly going to cost us $10,000, and I want to make sure we're able to do a big planting in the fall again, which would leave us with 20,000. Likely some fee money will hit between now and then, but the fall planting does cost us around 20 to 25,000. So it is a bigger planting. So I think I'm safe with us recommending doing 80 trees, and then we can just kind of see how the numbers work out in the fall. And my biggest goal is we have a lot of great momentum, and I want to make sure we keep that momentum and at least plant 230 trees this year. I would love for us to plant more, and I'm sure if we did want to plant more and we didn't have the money, I'm sure we could find it somewhere. So I would recommend we do 80, 50 right-of-way street tree plantings for residents and 30 for parks. Does that sound like a plan?
Mm-hmm. Who's planting?
It's a great question, James.
Township?
So,
For the residential.
so yet to be determined. So we'll solicit.
Now I'm having fun.
I see Villanova's on the list. Would you like me to recruit some student volunteers?
For our Willows Park planting, yes, that would be great.
We can put it as part of our Department Earth Week.
So for every planting, I will solicit help for planting street trees and in the parks. We will likely get more than enough volunteers from our tree service partners that have been helping us. So that's the plan. And with 80 trees, I don't think we need to supplement any of this with paid plantings like we do in the fall with Tree Authority. So I will take the action item to reach out for planting. I just haven't had time yet in the beginning of the year, but I say we get the trees ordered. We have a few months to do our normal preparations. So I guess the other head nod that we need tonight from all of us is, do we agree that the willows make sense to go in after we just cleaned up and plant some trees? Great, okay, so let's do that. Frank, you want to run us down through some other items that we need to talk through?
So going to need some help on these things. Jenny and Kristen, you did food last time. Oops, Jenny's not here. Could you take the lead on food this time? I'll be ordering the trees, getting the invoice from Leah. I'm getting the check from Leah to pay the invoice. And then Steve and I generally get them distributed, to the parks. Since I won't be here the week before, I don't get back until the 18th. Okay, Seth, you'll help make sure Steve gets the support to
Yes.
get them where they need to be.
Yep. And I would ask Eugenia and/or Jen, if you want to help us walk the willows to identify areas to plant and also work with Frank from a species perspective, we can get the list over to everyone to
Yeah, I
pick
can
out
do that tomorrow.
what makes the most sense down there. That would be fantastic. Thank you.
We talked about the right-of-way trees. We'll probably use the same process of having people using Google Forms to request trees for their place, advertise it through the township
Yep,
website.
and I will take care of all that.
Yep. I think we're pretty good on tools. Steve has all our tools over at the garage, and it looks like we've bought enough. And the stake stompers is the only thing I think we might need one or two more if we could get them. Okay.
My only comment, so we made this shift in the fall. So rather than using the black corrugated pipe, use the mesh-like.
The white mesh?
Not the white, it's black. It's a black plastic
yeah.
mesh
I
that
think
we
I have some sort
that
of
we got from Tree Authority.
That makes sense, Steve? Yeah,
Yes,
black,
the
black
deer
plastic
protection.
mesh, black plastic mesh.
And you still have an inventory of some from the fall, right, that you picked up?
Yeah, whatever you supplied from your home that day, we
Yes,
still have. So
perfect.
how many is that roughly?
I think that was 50.
50
So,
we have.
and they were, I think Tree Authority gave them to us for $10. They're 48-inch, 6-inch diameter deer protection. And so the reason for all of this is when we visited the Willows over the summer with Dana and PHS, we were picking up the black corrugated pipe, and at the bottom, because it's a nice, cool, moist place, a bunch of bugs come out. And also just the breathability and, if it does get super hot during the summer, black corrugated definitely, retains more heat than a black mesh would. So I think it's a good move to standardize on that moving forward. It is a little bit of a additional cost, but $10 a tree, 80 trees, $800. I think it's totally worth it.
Now that you said that, circling back a little bit, what we get from PHS is the tree, stakes, ties, and diapers. And with the rain we've had, those diapers really filled up, so that was a good move, saving a lot of maintenance for Steve.
Yeah, driving around, I can see all the diapers puffed up. I like it.
Volunteers, if we have 30 trees, we probably need around 30 volunteers. We supply, Conservancy supplies captains, site captains to help supervise, if you will. So we'll use Google Forms again to get volunteers. We did Cabrini last time. They sent some people, but Villanova would be more than welcome.
I'd be happy to. I can advertise it in my department.
Carrie actually gave extra credit to the kids that showed up. I don't know if you want to do that.
I could do that.
Okay.
Or I'll talk to the environmental science professor.
Okay.
But we do Earth Week at Nova. This would fit in so nicely. The students are really service-oriented during Earth Week.
Great.
And we will get a request from PHS whether they can get us volunteers. That's how we got the Accenture people and the DeVita people last couple times. And Shriner always volunteers.
Absolutely.
One thing Seth and I were talking about, the waivers and sign up in November was horrific. So we're going to do some process re-engineering so people won't get frostbite while they're reading the waiver forms. So that'll be the volunteers. And I also contact all previous volunteers to see if they want to volunteer again. Park prep, you always, talk with Tammy to make sure she's got nothing going on in the park that weekend. Make sure the bathrooms are open because they get winterized. We have tables. I've got tons of tablecloths, snippers, gloves, and all that other garbage left over from the previous plantings. Seth talked about walking the parks. Usually involves putting a stake in the ground. That's where we want the tree. And if you're really nice to Steve, he might get James out there with a backhoe again. Not this James, another James. It'll pre-dig our holes for us.
My backyard.
That was,
Yes, that was.
that was the biggest success we had last
I'm sure that
November.
saved you a lot of time, right?
It
We
did.
love it.
Yeah,
We
we'll
love
do,
it.
we'll do it again, no problem.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. And the volunteers are getting older. Day of planting, I'm going to be back from vacation on the day of planting. So I could be there, help set up tables, signs. We've got a tent. If it's not windy, we can use the tent.
Straight from the airport to the Willows?
Straight from the airport? No, I'm coming in the 2 days before.
Oh, okay, all right. You got to give yourself a little bit of buffer time.
Yeah, dry out time. So Kristen will have the food there. We arrange everything. We have the Seth does his immortal demonstration of how to plant the bare root tree for the volunteers.
I've gotten better at not running out of breath while doing it. It's a challenge.
And everyone seems to take pictures, so we get a lot of PR opportunity at these events. And then Steve's guys actually deliver the tools and the trees and the mulch and the trash bags and the buckets to the site. And we do our thing, and then Steve's guys come and pick it up, which makes it really kind of hands-free for the volunteers. And then post-planning, we do a lot of bragging. We write it up on the Township website, social media, send thank you letters to the volunteers. And we've had a lot of people donate things, whether it's Shriner or DeBruno Brothers, Chick-fil-A.
Frank.
Who said that?
The wizard.
Oh, the wizard.
Since it's going to be at the Willows, we should probably check with the Park Preserve too. The Willows Park Preserve, and make sure there's no events there, or they might want to join as volunteers
Okay,
as
I'll
well.
contact Will. I can take that.
Yeah, Will and Howard would be good to, they might want to show up.
Yeah, tell Will to get a shovel.
He's young, he could do it. Yeah. So that's basically the project plan for something like this. If you want to put your names next to something, that would be great. I'm only going to be gone those 2 weeks, so I can do a lot of the prep work and day of type work. But, like food and walking the parks, putting the stakes in would be, people to do that would be very much appreciated.
Frank, could you turn this into a Google Sheet and share it around? And then we can drop in our names?
I really think I could.
I think you
I
could.
think I'm technically able to do that.
Well, you made it somehow, so.
Yeah, this is Excel.
All right.
All right, so I will put out a Google Sheet.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll just, for those that volunteered already tonight, just fill in what you know, and then we can fill in the rest.
I can send it to everyone in this room, including you guys.
Yes. Public comment, yes. You got it.
You think it's a bad idea?
Hi. What's that?
You think it's a bad idea?
No, I think it's yeah. I came out here tonight to talk about how we shouldn't plant more trees. No. What I wanted to say actually was 2 ideas and 1 offer. One idea, I just did a Martin Luther King Day of Service event for the Tredyffrin EAC, and we had over 70 volunteers for that. And I managed it through Eventbrite. They now charge a small fee if you're doing an event that size, but it was like 10 or 20 bucks, so it's not a lot of money. And I was able to send out to all of my registrants, as soon as they registered, it automatically went back a link to the waiver available on just an open Google Drive link, so that people can download the waiver, sign it, and show up and hand it to you when they check in, which is just a really wonderful streamlining that process. So if you're looking for a way to kind of speed up that waiver exchange, that was really helpful and worked pretty well. Yeah. And also, one of the things that the Conservancy is talking about focusing on this year is tree maintenance, and the idea of we want to have these big, beautiful trees, but we don't want to be afraid of having them and caring for them. So we're putting all of these trees in, maybe maintenance for these trees and having that be a public education opportunity is either something that you might be interested in or something that we could collaborate on, talk about for the fall. Just as an idea, just because I think that people know trees are good, people want to put trees in, but people are not sure what to do with it once it starts to get into its middle and older years.
Plus, it's expensive, and I think some people maybe don't know what they're supposed to do, and then
Yeah, or also that. There are things that you can do early on to help prevent problems later. So revisiting those trees that you plant after 3 or 5 years and shaping them a little bit can help to avoid that expensive cost later. I think that's somewhere that we could really.
Talk to you more about that because
Yeah.
DHS has a tree checker program.
Yeah.
It's fairly mechanized. That I've been thinking about for 2 years now, but I haven't really come to actually implement it. We have tree checkers, 10 tree checkers in the township, but maybe you and I can talk and see if we can collaborate on getting that up.
Yeah, and especially if this is going to be kind of a rolling process, then it can be, here are our new babies, this is where they go. A few weeks later, here is what we put in, look at how great they look, here's how we identify what needs to be adjusted and make those adjustments. I think that could be good for everybody, everybody.
We would absolutely love to partner on that. One other thought, so tree checkers, so we did run this by the township and Bill White, the township manager. He thought it was a great idea. We got some feedback last fall. I think we're getting close to implementation. I think we got all the permissions, I's dotted, T's crossed, but I think this year would be a good goal to get that off the ground. And PHS has specific guidelines and the tree checkers program has specific guidelines on what needs to be checked. And then the second thing is, so John Hosbach proposed last year, we just never were able to nail down a date, but doing a speaker series of, inviting anyone in the township and beyond. We were either going to hold it here or what better place to hold an event like that in a park or somewhere else. We initially talked about holding maybe a speaker series on or around a planting. We felt like that was too logistically crazy. So finding another date where there's nice weather and having some sort of incentivized way to get people to come out and listen to some experts speak. And maybe it's a tree care training and demonstration. Maybe we couple it with a tree giveaway, like a container tree giveaway or something. So I think we got a lot of great ideas that we could propose. So this past fall was the first season that we worked with the K-10 tree program.
Okay, right.
So we got some tree plugs. We talked about this, right?
Yeah.
So that might be another way to get a lot of free trees, and especially with tree plugs, they require quite a bit of education.
Right.
So that would be
plugs are that's the only thing that's tough because
they are tough.
A little.
But
fragile.
an event that you go through the demonstration and at the end you get 5 tree plugs.
Right.
You
Yeah.
go plant them.
These are all great ideas, and we are having similar conversations. So I think that there's room to collaborate or support or at least cross-pollinate there.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So definitely keep us in mind if that is something that you're interested in. And also just for this event, please let me know how else, if it's driving volunteers. I have students, residents, companies, organizations reach out to me looking for, so whether it's vine removal or it's this, let me know how the Conservancy can assist, elevate, connect, choose your verb. Let me know what we
Absolutely.
can do.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
no
we
problem.
appreciate the continued partnership and recommendations. We couldn't do it without you guys, so thank you. I'm serious. All right. Last thing on new business. So tree installation at Emlyn Tennell Park. So we have a couple of offers of trees to go in, and this all spurred from a tree coming out, a nice big mature tree that was in decline. So John Hosback, this will be his 15th year of consulting for Radnor Township, and he is graciously donating a 5-inch caliper white oak. So my proposal is to have that planted down at Emlyn Tennell. And then also I wanted to propose a couple more trees while we're planting down there, maybe earmarking 2 trees from the spring planting to, plant a small grouping of trees at Emlyn Tennell. Does that sound like a plan?
I agree, yes. The question was, wasn't there some kind of construction happening? Was that the one where the playground, something was happening? Was that that park? Or a
No.
different one? In Garrett Hill? No? Okay,
Callan,
all right,
yep.
thank you. Sorry.
So head nods for planting some trees at Emlyn Tennell? Great, okay, so that'll be the plan. Any other new business that anyone wants to bring up?
Just to add on what Amber said,
Throw on your mic.
I think this year, I tried to do it last year. I think we need to get these trees that we planted and get an arborist to come in and prune them. The first year is very important to create a leader, to take out crossing branches, stuff like that. Like Amber said, it's going to help in the long run. So I think I know we did the invasive removals, the vines, but I think we should earmark some of that money this year to taking care of the trees we've planted so they do well in the future.
I'm thinking our first go at that should be the tree tender and tree checker program. Maybe we loop.
I think it's going to take too long, and you need an arborist to work in the
Okay.
township for trees. So we need to keep the ordinance.
Fair enough. Okay.
Can't have people just doing it,
Sure, just winging it. I hear you. Okay, let's take that back and think about it. And I know, I'm sure, I don't want to mention any names, but I'm sure we could get many people that would be good candidates to make this happen. So I like the idea. Any other new business? Cool. Annual goals, I have yet to set these, but just to kind of voice them over briefly. So obviously our goal is to continue the maintenance pilot. I do need to kind of get the same head nod from the township regarding our pool of money that we're setting aside for the maintenance pilot. So that is separate funds from, what our big tree fund is what it's technically called. So that money comes, not from that fund. So continue the maintenance pilot program. At this point in time, it's no longer a pilot. We'll make it an official thing. To make it an official thing, my goal for this year is to get something into the ordinance that doesn't necessarily mandate it, but it makes it a program of which is followed on an annual basis, and it's baked into the ordinance. So we'll work on drafting language in regards to what that is, what it looks like, and run it by all the appropriate parties to make sure it makes sense, and it's not too stringent, but also gets us in the right direction. Speaking of, there's a backlog of ordinance updates, that we're slowly working through. The goal would be to get at least 2 ordinance updates done this year, with the plan of the list that we prioritized, pull out the highest priority ones. The park plantings, continue to do those. The resident plantings continue to do those. We'll do a spring and a fall planting. The goal is 230 trees, providing we have, the funds and everything works out for the fall, which we should get close to 150 in the fall, but we'll make sure that we get as close as we can. And then communication, so we can't forget about communication. So, Amber said it well, which is, post-planting care and, through to mature trees, making sure that, everyone knows that doing proactive maintenance and pruning, even to older trees, is critical to make sure that they have as long of a lifespan as possible. And even just having an arborist come out and, check root compaction, check the root ball itself for any deterioration and rot, and everything else that we've been commonly seeing throughout the township. So with that said, I know that was a long-winded approach to goals, but that's kind of the vibe that we'll have this year. Any other thoughts on goals or anything else that anyone would like to see?
I want to throw this out there. I think we have the perfect audience for it. Is what we tried to do last year, but were unsuccessful, was to try to, through the pilot for the maintenance, especially with the invasives and vines, is to use goats. And we just thought it would be a win on so many levels for the township, for marketing, for communication. We couldn't find them anywhere. So if anybody knows of any organizations.
So Sarah did come up to me before the meeting.
Okay.
Do you want to come up here, or do you want me to give
let's
the
not
recap?
give up yet, because
Public comment, please.
It was a great idea.
On goats.
Thank you.
Sarah Pilling, 29 Garrett Avenue. Sort of backed into this. Shriner, two guys from Shriner came to my house to cut to the ground, to below the ground, viburnum prunifolium. It had to go. And we got into a conversation about weeds. And the young man, whose name I do not know, lives in Wallingford, and there is a goat herd for rent in Wallingford. So he didn't have the phone number. I was supervising taking out the shrub. I've written Steve Shriner, advised Steve. Steve said yes, he would get to work on it. It took a little bit because I've had COVID and didn't feel very well. So there is a Delaware County rent-a-goat program. I mean, not program, business in Delaware County, and we're working on it. Because you're absolutely right.
Thank you, Sarah.
It was your idea to begin with, and I just think it's a great one.
What? No, this is a valid business where he rents his goats to take out weeds.
I can also follow up with Steve if you want me to.
Well, I've done
both
it.
can.
I've done it, so well, but if I don't hear from Steve within the next couple of weeks, I'll get in touch with you, Kristen, and we can, the pair of us, book him. But one does exist. The only question I had was, why wouldn't the Chester County people come to Radnor? Was it the distance or the township?
I don't think we got, I think it was the distance, probably. We never got as far as the township.
You hope.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Sarah. Once you get the information, pass it along, and we'll reach out and get some pricing. Great. Hazardous trees. So hazardous trees removed by homeowners: 55 West Ave, 675 Church Road, and 801 Quaker Lane. Let me just check my notes real quick and make sure I'm not missing anything. No, okay. And just to confirm, we did receive hazard tree reports for all of those addresses, correct, Leah?
It's actually connected to the agenda under the ones removed by the township. That's the files.
The combined files?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in the wrong spot.
That's all right. I'm taking a quick peek at it right now. All right. Yep. I know Township, and John Hosback reviews all of this, so I trust the process, as they say. Yeah, all of these trees look very dead, and I'm seeing all the hazard tree reports attached, so all good. Item 12, trees removed by Radnor Township. So it looks like there's 5 and some change trees. Any comment? I don't know, Steve, were you involved with any of those removals?
Just that they were all in the right of way. John, our arborist, checked them all out, and they were deemed hazardous, so they had to come down. Excuse me. The one that sticks out is the 38-inch at 311 Beach Tree. That had a lot of root decay, decline canopy, and it was right by a bus stop, so that had to come down. Plus, it was pushed up the sidewalk. So, other than that, just pretty cut and dry.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
Appreciate it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, last call for public participation.
Sorry, I know you want to get home. The last thing that I wanted to say was just circling back to the conversation about parking spaces. I was wondering if maybe it wouldn't be helpful if shade tree and grading it as these. I've heard a few times that, well, that's the ordinance. We're not sure that we need that much parking, but this. I was wondering if any of these groups would be willing to just put into writing, send a letter to the BOC, just say, we're seeing this. Our hands are tied by what we're seeing as far as these parking lot requirements, and it would be places are not moving towards or changing their ordinance requirements on parking. Are changing their ordinance requirements on just kind of what we need in downtown areas. And with the development that's been going on, maybe that's something that we in Radnor need to take a look at. And if groups would be willing to kind of put those thoughts into writing and pass those along, I think that would be helpful, because if different groups are seeing this same issue arise and having these same conversations, I think it would be useful for the commissioners to hear that from their boards, that this is something that keeps arising, and because it's something that we, as a group who attends a lot of these meetings, are hearing in different conversations. So I would ask that maybe if the commission could consider that. I don't know if that's something that you guys normally do, but it might be a good idea to at least start that conversation.
Yeah, we absolutely do, and we have been. So my neighbor, MJ Freeman, he's chair of planning, so we collaborate. We sit down, have a drink, and review plans when they're coming through planning and shade tree, and we look for ways. It is give and take, unfortunately. I think that the best conduit for a lot of this is the comprehensive plan that Radnor is currently going through. So it's really hard to make a stern recommendation when it's not upheld by the ordinance.
Exactly, yeah.
So the ordinance needs to be updated to reflect, some of these things that we're seeing. And I think, the comprehensive plan is the conduit to see that put into action. And the other thing is, rather than the ordinance upholding this, really partnering with the builders and the owners and establishing a relationship on that end. We saw this with St. Honoré. I know it's a big project, a lot of trees coming out, a lot of trees going in, but they did make every recommendation that we had asked of them. Now, in this project that we just recently saw on Lancaster and Luella, we did have discussions previously around, no trees on Luella. They did seek relief on the amount of parking spaces, so they're technically required to put in more parking spaces than what they are putting in, so they sought relief there. So it's
I guess my thought is, instead of us having to seek relief for parking but still requiring parking spaces, and so we're taking down trees so that we can accommodate a requirement for parking spaces that we don't completely need.
Sure.
Maybe if there's a way that we can alter what our requirement is. It was just what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But I know that there are kind of ways to find flexibility, but I feel like sometimes you guys can only do what you can do within the confines of that structure. So, but you raise a great point about
The comp plan.
the
Yeah,
comprehensive
yeah,
plan.
but we are, every opportunity we get, you know, we make sure, I mean, and I don't think we've ever hit any resistance of people not wanting more trees. I think it's a balance, right, of, would we rather see a tree than a parking spot? Yes, but on the other side of it, you know, you might end up with a parking problem. You might have people parking in places where they shouldn't be. So making sure we take everything into consideration at
Totally,
the same time.
I understand,
right?
and I know,
So,
we know that you guys
yep,
do what you can do. So,
all
and we
good. But yeah,
appreciate it.
we're on the same page.
Yep,
Thank you.
yep.
Appreciate it.
Same team.
Great. All right. Any other public comment? I will make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second? All in favor? Aye. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.